Hi, everyone. Welcome to another short attention span webinar. This time, Kelly Malazzi, we go fishing.
Is this about that Tim Burton movie?
This is not about a Tim Burton movie.
Oh man, all right, I'm not ready for this
You're
then.
not
All right,
ready
go
for
ahead.
this. All right, can you name quick trivia? Who is Tim Burton's wife?
Helena Bonham Carter.
Oh, you get it right. Good for you. But there's a lot of talent in that family, huh? Well, let's talk about going for the big fish. You can work all your life and you can sell $200,000, or you can land a big fish and you can sell $2 million. And it takes just as much time in the day to write up those big orders as it does those small orders, Kelly. The,
Mm-hmm.
the difference is the commission checks are if you don't mind being in a higher tax bracket, then we will teach you how to go to a big account. And you know what? I mean, you can go the traditional route, which is basically, hey, Kelly, my name is Bill Farquharson, and I want to talk to you about your dot, dot, dot.
Mm-hmm.
It's not unusual for it to take months just to get an acknowledgement, months to get an appointment. So I say 6 to 12 months. This is not, I'm not making that up. This isn't in Bill's head. It's not fiction. The bigger they are, the harder it is to get in the door
Mm-hmm.
through the traditional route. Okay, so you have to build some rapport. Even if you make contact, they might say we're under contract for another 18 months. So you're thinking, oh my Lord, no, that's what, summer of 2014, even before I get an
Yeah.
appointment? Holy cow. Maybe you'll be successful going that route. Now, Kelly, let me ask you something. You've sold some big accounts in your day. How did
Mm-hmm.
you get the business? Did you go through the front door? Or did you take the side door? Did you helicopter in? What'd you do?
Um, yeah, I mean it's a variety of different ways. I mean there were some cases where I went the traditional way and just ended up being in the right place at the right time and said the right thing, but more often than not, it was um either my boss telling me this is who this is who you want to talk to, or getting a referral, doing some networking, being at the same event. There's a lot of other ways that are a little more, I guess you'd call them surreptitious, but a little less direct. And I feel like that's the way the world is going these days.
You see, what's interesting is that whenever I find out, and I still do this today, whenever I'm talking to a sales rep who is doing business with a humongous account, I always ask how they got the job. And I have yet to speak to someone who said, well, I was really bugging this guy, and he finally gave me an appointment. He finally gave me something to look at. We gave him a great price. We've been building the business ever since. Now, that happens,
Yeah.
but I've never met that. I've never had that situation. It's always something different. It's always
Hmm.
something. It's another option, a non-traditional side door that just happened to work for someone. For example, volunteering. And Kelly, I've written a blog on this before. We may have even done a webinar on this before. You know the value of volunteering, but remind our listeners, what is it about volunteering that makes for good big fishing?
Well, it's access to people on the boards of directors of these organizations. It's people that participate. I mean, I think that many large organizations have a corporate directive. It's an imperative for them to, be active in their communities. So, it's everything from the sponsor list to any, the planning events where you are. The thing of it that I think is the most valuable is that it's you're on peer level with these people. It's not you and a CEO. It's you're doing volunteer work, I'm doing volunteer work, so we're on the same level. And then that conversation kind of happens more organically, I think.
Yeah, sure. You get into the what do you do thing, and who would I do that with? And,
Right.
volunteering is huge. And just as you said, Kelly, the second point is to find out if they do any charity work. So if you're looking at their website and there's an icon, we support the boys clubs and girls clubs of Greater Chicago, that can be your in. Now,
Yep.
Kelly, how would that work? If I know that they're connected with a charity, how can I use that to my advantage?
Well, a number of ways. I mean, number one is you could just try to get on a committee at the charity itself. One thing that I always advocate with printers and people in our industry is that we set aside some pro bono budget so that we can kind of in kind donate services. So you may
Hmm.
contact that organization and say, hey, look, I know you've got your annual gala coming up. We'd like to donate the invitations or the signage. and then that gets your name out in front of everybody, which is, again, quite valuable compared to, what the investment that you would make in actually doing that kind of stuff for free. So and again, attending the event, kind of sidling up to them at the bar and talking to them once you're there. I mean, there's so many different ways that this makes a lot of sense.
And in those first two bullet points, you're doing the right thing. You're doing good.
It feels good too, yeah.
I mean, I was brought up, my mom and dad taught me that you give a percentage of your money to charity, in our case, church. You also give a percentage of your time, and that's, we consider that to be the definition of tithing. So you're doing the right thing. There's some ancillary benefits there. The third point here is to network with everybody all the time. And of course, that's kind of obvious, right? But it's amazing to me how many people don't do this.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to make a sales call on this gigantic corporation in your area, Kelly, how would I go about, what would I use in terms of today's options? What would I use? How would I do it?
Well, I mean, we teach you guys about research all the time. I mean, I'd be on LinkedIn. I would try to figure out, where they went to school, any of that kind of information, and I would use my own social media network too. I might get on Facebook and say, hey, does anybody know anybody who works at McDonald's? Because McDonald's is a very, very large organization here. You never know. I mean, and that's the thing, is what we always discover is, I have girls in my twins club that work at major, major corporations, and it took me years to discover that. And I keep thinking, why didn't I know this sooner? We should be talking about this stuff. And because what we ultimately are talking about here is people want to help each other, especially when you're friends.
Yeah.
So you wanna make sure you know what everybody does, what everybody's husband does, and be keyed into that network.
And spread the word. Here again, send out an email saying, does anybody knows anybody? Can you help me? Then continue to push and look for that one in. That's the side door that we're talking about. And then one of my favorite sales tips, never leave an existing account before you meet one new person. All right. The value here is that when that person one day leaves the company and goes to work at that humongous corporation, you now have an in. Personally, this is how I have gotten into companies over the years. It's amazing. Even in our industry, Kelly, if I knew the VP of marketing at Heidelberg and he went to work for KBA, heck, now he's the head of marketing at KBA. There's my contact. There's my in.
Well, especially since that marketing, the tenure of a marketing professional is 20 months.
Yeah.
So you can pretty much guarantee that that's going to happen.
Right.
And, Bill, I probably spent the first 10 years of my career not using this practice. And every time I think about what I lost by not utilizing this philosophy, it makes me crazy to this day to think that why wasn't I asking my client to introduce me to his boss?
Yeah.
Especially, so and again, you want to talk about going wide and deep in an organization. The more people that know you and like you, the more secure you're going to be. So I cannot stress enough how important this is.
But also take some relationship upkeep, right? I mean, you can't just, it's great that Kelly, but you can't show up 3 years later and say, hey, Kelly, how you been? Listen, well, I got you on the phone. I mean, it's kind of, I don't know, obvious that you're milking the relationship. I think you also have to foster that relationship and nurture it.
Well, yeah, but it can be simple these days. I mean, you've heard of the e-traduction, right? It's an email that it's just an email saying, Kelly meet Bill, Bill meet Kelly. I know Bill because of this. I know Kelly because of this. Now you guys talk.
Yeah.
It can be as simple as that, and great, great things can come of that.
But here again, one final thing. This is another reason why you want to build your LinkedIn network, because when you need it, if it's not built, it's too late.
Yep.
So set a goal, 5, 6, 1 new connections every week.
Yep.
All right, gang. Well, that's the kind of bait you want to use to find the big fish. Kelly, thank you very much. And
thanks, Bill.
Now that it's it's Lent, right?
So I was going to say, this is so timely because first of all, I'm starving, and second of all, yeah, it's Lent. So.
All right. Well, muzzle tough, Kelly. And we'll talk to you all in the next short attention span webinar. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Bill.